Welcome. In front of me I have the HUAWEI MatePad 11.5 and today I'll go over unboxing along with a quick overview of this tablet. So anyway, let's just get straight into it. Now the packaging right here is pretty substantial, so it looks like we do have additional case or case/keyboard, which is actually a pretty nice thing to include, if I'm correct. We'll find out in a second. So, nothing in here, obviously. I'm gonna set the actual tablet to the side for the time being and focus on the smart keyboard. There we go. Now this is actually looking pretty nice. Okay, so... oh, interesting. Anyway. So it looks like it's in two parts, held by magnets, as you can see. Now the actual case right here feels like it's made out of leather. Now honestly I can't tell if it's actual leather or not. Doesn't really state anywhere if it is. So anyway, gonna set that to the side for the moment. And now let's get into the actual device. Apparently nothing to cut here. Now right off the bat we were greeted with this little pen flip right here. So what it is, if you aren't aware, is basically a nice brochure letting you know that Huawei has been bad and has been banned by US from being having access to almost anything that US makes, which will also include Google Play Services Store and all that stuff. So Huawei needed to make their own. So Pedal Search is basically a substitute for Google Search. Tablet clone is just a cloning of another device. This actually might come very handy to some people if you have some kind of application that isn't supported on the app gallery, which is basically the Huawei's Play Store. Then what you can do is, if you have another Android device that actually has access to Play Store, you could just download that up there, and then using tablet or phone clone, you can then move over that application to the tablet, and it will work. So that's a nice little tip right here for people that might have applications that aren't on the app gallery. Anyway, let's get into the actual device. So here's the tablet. Looking okay. I'm gonna turn it on and set it to the side for now, because I'm starting to run out of space on this tiny little desk. Now in here we have a world's crappiest looking charger. This is... it's not that bad. It's 22.5 watts. If the camera can actually focus on this, that'll be fantastic. I'm just gonna give you some light here. So you can see it right here. Max 22.5 W max. So there we go. Now, below that we have our cable, I presume. Yep, so some paperwork and cable. Honestly, I'm not gonna take it out. It's a Type A to Type C USB charging cable. Nothing special. Now here is our device. So let's start off with the display, because that's the first thing that we're seeing when we boot up the device. So this is a 11.5-inch display, as the name would suggest. It is a TFT LCD display running at 120 Hz refresh rate and a not skippable set Wi-Fi connection page. Fantastic, but just freaking love to see those. Anyway, I'm gonna put in my password quickly. There we go. No, it's not going automatically. There we go. So continuing on, it is 84.8% screen to body ratio with pixel density of 229, which puts it at a resolution of 1440 by 2200 pixels. So the display right here, actually the resolution at least, is a pretty decent resolution. The refresh rate is also, I would say, good. And in terms of the TFT LCD, I would probably like to see AMOLED, but there might be some kind of, I guess, problems probably that they can't get AMOLEDs or whatever. But in any case, this should be good enough. Obviously, it won't give you such a nice, vibrant, and the deep colors like an AMOLED or OLED displays would on other devices. But at least it's running at 120 Hz, so that's still a positive. Now, hopefully I can finish this up fairly quickly. And whoops, not what I wanted to do, but there we go. Okay, so there is our OS. Now this is Harmony OS 3.1, at least that's how it's called. So obviously it's not running on, technically it is running on Android. Obviously it can install Android applications, no problem. It is a modified version of Android called Harmony OS. Now it doesn't have, like I mentioned before, Google Play services, so anything like Google Maps, search and all that stuff is disabled right here. And for any kind of applications that would require Google Play services, you will probably might have some kind of problems with them, running them. There are ways around it. I've seen people be able to install Google Play services in some kind of wonky ways. Sometimes it works very well, sometimes it doesn't. So if, for instance, you got the device and you need Play services, there is a chance you could get them on here. Anyway, moving on into the internals. Now let's flip it over and start off with the cameras, which technically isn't necessarily internal, but whatever. We have a single camera at the back, and that is a 13 megapixel sensor, and it can shoot at 1080p 30 frames. And then at the front we have a selfie at 8 megapixels. It's an ultra wide with 105 degrees field of view, and also 1080p 30 frames. Now moving on into the internals, we have a 7700 mAh battery, which is a pretty decent battery size for this kind of device. The device is being powered by a Snapdragon 7 Gen 1, which is surprising actually. Considering this is a newer processor, it's not the newest one, but it's still something that I actually thought that Huawei wouldn't be able to get for their devices, but apparently they were able to. Maybe something changed and I don't know. In terms of the deal between US and they can actually just get these processors. They're still not the best ones. Obviously right now the better one would be the Snapdragon 7 Gen 2 instead of Gen 1. Gen 1 is the last year's model compared to the Gen 2, which would be, let's call it this year's model. Now it also comes with 6 or 8 gigabytes of RAM, depending, actually not depending, it's just 6 or 8 gigabytes of RAM, and 128 gigabytes of built-in storage, with most likely a non-upgradable storage. Let me just quickly check that out though, just so I don't mislead people. I guess I'm not misleading anybody. There is no SIM tray. So yeah, there is no expendable storage. Okay, now moving on, let's now mention the price of this device, which is actually a pretty affordable device, coming at 290 euros. I just even sum it up to like 300, which even for that price, I would say that that is a decent price for this device. It has a relatively decent spec with Snapdragon 7 Gen 1, so it will be a relatively fast processor, being able to hold its own with some more demanding games. Obviously any kind of typical task that you will throw at it, like Netflix, browsing, YouTube, that should be not even any kind of problem, not even sweat for this processor. Gaming, Genshin Impact for instance, which is probably one of the more demanding games, also should be able to run. It might not be running super smoothly. You probably won't be getting 100 or 100, even 60 frames at max settings, so that's something that you can forget about. But if you probably want to settle down to like something like 30 frames and medium settings, I think this should probably be able to do it. And what else is there to say? Not much more, to be honest. So let's quickly check out the actual case. So here is the case, which I already did show up. I'm gonna put it on. I do want to point out the case right here feels really nice. Not exactly sure if it's all the way in. It would seem like it is. Though it kind of... Yeah. Okay, so touching upon the case, there is one nice feature right here, which is something that I just realized. We have a little kickstand right here. You can just flip that over and have a nice little tablet stand. Pretty nice, comes included with the device. The case feels really nice, really premium, which is very surprising for the price of this device. Then obviously you get, actually I should probably mention, for the price of this device, with this I assume as a package, it probably will cost a little bit more. The price right here that I'm looking at only will include the actual tablet itself, so not the keyboard as well, most likely. Now, when it comes down to this, we also have this little keyboard, also magnetically attaches, which that's how it goes. And I assume we just kind of do this, so just to kind of show that off. Boop. And then you slap it into this point, and it should work. At least I think it should. Oh, okay, so it pops up with a little connect option, just to kind of show that off. So yes, we're going to connect, even though the pogo pins would imply that it's already connected. Go figure. Smart keyboard. Cool, can I now use it? Oh yes, I can. So you can see it's now working. So there we go. Now let's just check out the keyboard. How it types. Now it is a little bit cramped, but I guess there's no Control A to select everything. It is a little bit cramped. It is very low profile keyboard, just to kind of show that off in perspective. It is absolutely just paper thin almost. But the keys still have a decent travel distance, which is very surprising. And it actually feels pretty okay for such a tiny little keyboard. That is in addition to this tablet. It's, I would say, good. So that is actually a surprising thing. So yeah, keyboard totally usable. Now one more thing that you can actually do here, if you have a Bluetooth mouse, you could use something like a wireless mouse with this. And obviously if you also have a dongle, you could just slap in a dongle, plug it in, and even have a Type-C or wired mouse plugged in, and have like more like a laptop experience, which is very nice for some people, I would say. Something that probably some people will be looking for as a alternative to a laptop that they would carry around. So there we go. Now I guess I can probably slap it like this as well. Yep. So as you can see, it also closes like that. It's a bit weird. By the way, this, you can peel that off, just to mention. So there we go. This would summarize this. Now, I did want to go over the pros and cons of this device, which I did kind of stop midway through. So let's just quickly go over this. And the display right here, 120 Hertz, decent resolution as a pro of this device. The premium feeling included case and keyboard is obviously a massive pro. So love to see that. The charger being included is nice, though the device, the charger that comes is not necessarily like the best one that I can get. And the inclusion of a Snapdragon 7 also, I would say, is a pro for this device, so it will be a bit faster than some other devices that I've unboxed from Huawei previously, when the whole Huawei ban kind of thing was, you know, hotter at that time. So back then they were releasing a bit crappier processors for the same price, which this device has a decent price with a decent specs. And another pro is the battery size in here, so that's pretty good. Now in terms of cons, I would say the non-expendable storage is a little bit of a missed opportunity. It would be nice to have expendable storage right here. It has a relatively slow charging speed at 22 watts for 7.7K battery. That will be a decent time you will be spending next to the outlet to get this device topped up. And it doesn't look like the device can actually charge any quicker than that. So this is the fastest charger you get for this device that you actually will be able to utilize. So even if you have a better one, the device won't be charging any faster. Another thing that I kind of would consider as a con is the display type. So this is a LCD display. I would personally like to see something like a AMOLED display on here, which would have made this device feel even more premium and nicer to look at and use. I do understand that the price here is very low, so I do want to point that out. AMOLED display would add to the cost right here, and that is something that I'm okay with. But obviously if you're looking for a device below like 300 euros, then adding AMOLED would push it past that price. I would still like to see that. And the cameras are, I would say, mediocre on here, being at 13 and 8 megapixels, and being able to only shoot at 1080p 30 frames. So there we go. Obviously, just to kind of give you an opinion here, the pros of this device are better than the cons. So this device overall is, I would say, well spec'd out, decently priced, and it seems like a fairly decent device to have. So with that being said, hopefully you found this video helpful, and if you did, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.